Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today, we're going to take a look at the catalog of a band that I love a lot. A band that has been around for a long, long time. I mean, their early days go all the way back into the 70s. Probably when you talk about and look at the history of doom metal and specifically stoner metal, biker metal, that sort of thing, you've got to talk about Pentagram. They've got to be a part of the equation. This is just a tremendous band that, never really got their due. Folks in the underground know all about them. They're from Baltimore, the Baltimore area, the Washington, D.C. area, okay? And, lot of live gigs throughout the mid-late 70s and into the 80s. All sorts of, there's plenty of history about this band and their oftentimes troubled lead singer, Bobby Liebling, right? And the constant lineup changes, all that kind of stuff. But man, when you talk about like the roots of doom metal, or stoner metal, all right? I know Black Sabbath's the granddaddy of them all, but man, Pentagram is right up there. I mean, these guys were out there playing gigs and, recording stuff here and there throughout the 70s. I mean, if you've ever checked out, if you haven't, you should. Relapse Records put together a couple interesting compilations a number of years ago that collect a lot of the early recorded works of the band before they started actually releasing full-length albums, which didn't happen until the 80s, after they had already been around for about a decade. So we got First Days here, all right, and First Days here too. If you're interested in collecting Pentagram recordings, I urge you to get both of these. They're quite good. Again, back in the day, more of kind of like a real heavy, bluesy, hard rock band. The doom is starting to come into things. You can hear the biker rock element, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the roots of stoner, all right here. Big time. All right. So we got 8 regular studio-length albums. I'm going to rank them in order of my preference. Okay, from my least favorite to my favorite. I will say, for the most part, I love all these. All right, only one that I do not have a physical copy of, and that's going to be my number 8, which is Show 'Em How from 2004. All right, never owned this on CD. Very hard to find. I've heard it numerous times. For me, it's easily their weakest album, but there's still plenty to love about it. So it's kind of a weird album. So here you've got Bobby Liebling on vocals. And basically the band Infernal Void, all right, creating a new Pentagram because, of course, this band has been ripe with lineup changes throughout their career. Still some really good material on this album. All right, so you got Electra Glide, rocks pretty hard, some serious riffage going on there. You got the really cool Catwalk, another heavy track. City Romance, also really good. You got the really creepy title track. All right. My problem with this album, there's far too many kind of moody, atmospheric numbers. And the riffs for me just aren't really up to par. I mean, it's kind of hard, replacing Victor Griffin, all right, who is, in and out of this band all throughout their career. He is like up there with guys like Tony Iommi. I mean, he is just a riff master par excellence. And, no disrespect to the guys in Infernal Void, but I just don't find a lot of this album all that memorable. It's not quite doomy enough. The riffs aren't quite cranking enough. But there are, like I said, a handful of songs that are actually pretty enjoyable and pretty good that are, what you'd expect from something coming under the name of Pentagram. But it's kind of like the weird one in their catalog. And for me, even all the ones that are going to come next, I think, are all much better than that particular album, including number 7 from 2001, Sub-Basement. Okay, this is a lot of these albums are on Seasons of Mist. There, some of you might be familiar with that album cover, right? I think that's originally what it looked like there, but the reissue changed it to this ominous-looking black album cover, right? So here you've got the first, actually this is the second of 2 albums featuring the duo of Bobby Liebling, okay, and Mr. Joe Hasselvander, who on previous albums was their drummer. Here on this album and another album we're going to get to in a couple of minutes, Joe Hasselvander is basically doing everything except vocals. So he's doing bass, guitars, and drums. and you got Bobby basically showing up, helping write some of the songs and doing vocals. The title actually refers to Bobby's apartment in his parents' basement in Maryland. If you've ever seen the documentary on these guys, you'll know that Bobby Liebling has actually lived with his elderly parents for many, many years in the house he grew up in, living in the basement, sub-basement. A lot of crazy stories about that whole situation, which we won't get into today. But that's what the title of the album refers to. Bloodlust and Buzzsaw, the two albums that kick off the album. Tremendous. Loads of beefy riffs, okay? The title track, also a great, great crushing song with some monstrous guitar riffs from Mr. Hasselvander, who also proves to be pretty damn good guitar player, right? Guy can crank out the doom riffs, so not only can he pound the drums and play the bass, he's kicking ass on the guitars on this album as well. You got Mad Dog, which is a really kind of a more bluesier song, with some, wild riffs and lots of grooves. Kind of reminds me of really early Aerosmith. All right, pretty cool tune. After the Last is kind of slow and doomy, as is Tidal Wave. Target absolutely crushes. Really solid album. Not among their very best, though, but still really, really solid. Definitely worth seeking out. All right, next we're going to go to number 6. This was their big kind of reunion album, big return album in 2011. Last Rites. Okay, on Metal Blade Records. Good return to form on a major metal label. First album in 7 years. This one sees their classic guitar player Victor Griffin coming back to the band, along with Greg Turley on bass and Tim Tomaselli on drums. Really strong songs on this album. Call the Man, Into the Ground, 8, Walk in Blue Light. Killer song. Griffin's doom-laden riffing throughout that track and almost this entire album is just absolutely killer. Bobby actually singing quite good here. The guy's got a history of drug addiction and abuse and, mental illness, all that kind of stuff. So he sounds really strong on this album. Really strong. Especially, there's a couple more melodic numbers on here, which he's, where he's doing more of kind of like a Jim Morrison type, croony type thing, which I think works really well. He's actually got a really good voice, when he's in form. He's a fine singer, actually. Everything's Turning to Night, another really cool tune, kind of psychedelic. I dig that one a lot. All in all, great return to form of this album, and I always dug that album cover too. So, yeah, it's a good one. All right, so that's number 6. Coming in at number 5, I'm going to go to their most recent album, which was in 2015, so five years ago, Curious Volume. Big, massive production on this album. I mean, massive riffs from Victor Griffin. Really, really huge. I mean, I love the guitar sound on this album. It's just so monstrous. Lay Down and Die. Great song. The Monstrous, The Tempter Push. It's got some cool, it's like kind of doom metal meets classic 70s hard rock. Awesome. Close the Casket, another doom classic. You got the crushing but loaded with grooves, Dead Bury Dead. Evil riffs all over the title track. Okay, you got Suffering. It's real moody, kind of plodding along, but got that kind of evil doom vibe to it. I think Bobby's vocals on that particular song kind of taking on almost like a southern rock drawl. Pretty cool. Also, Because I Made It, great Sabbath-style slow builder. Really, really awesome album. Probably has the best production of any Pentagram album. Some people may say, well, but I love the kind of lo-fi, raw production of early Pentagram. And yeah, I love that too. But if you want to hear Pentagram sounding just absolutely massive, this is the one. Peaceful Records on this particular one here. All right, now, here we are at the cream of the crop here. Well, actually, I would say their top 5 is just amazing, although that number 6, really damn good too. But, now coming up, we've got the classic stuff. 1999's Review Your Choices. Immense album. Again, here's the original album cover. Okay, for the Season of Mist reissue, they got this, they like doing these kind of all black covers with the pentagram and all that kind of stuff, but that is the original album cover right there. Here, again, we're down to the duo of Liebling and Hasselvander. Again, he's playing all the instruments. Bobby's just singing. Change of Heart, killer song. All right, Gorgon Slave, slow, monolithic. I love using that term monolithic when you talk about just this huge, slow, doomy songs. Absolutely amazing. You got these really bizarre vocals from Bobby on this album, okay? But I think it works, right? He's just got this weird, they have like kind of effects on his vocals, and he's just got this weird drawl going on. But just so unique sounding, and it just totally fits the music. Title track, very heavy. The Diver is quite Sabbathy. If you love early Sabbath, you love it. Some of this Pentagram stuff sounds like it could have come off of Master of Reality or Volume 4. Love it. I Am Vengeance, another slice of kind of evil biker metal. Really cool. Forever My Queen absolutely just devastates. Love that. You got the bluesy Downhill Slope. Megalania, one of my favorite Pentagram songs of all time, is on this album. An absolutely bone-crushingly killer doom riff. It's just amazing. You got to hear it. It's a long song. It's just absolutely crazy. Megalania from Review Your Choices. Fantastic Pentagram album. Comes in at number 4. Number 3, let's go back to their debut. All right, originally just titled Pentagram, but they reissued it and they retitled it Relentless. That's what I got. I got the Relentless reissue here, again on the black cover with the pentagram and the goat on the front, making it a little bit more evil than the album actually is. This is, like I said, this is early, 1985. This album, while it's still doom, it's more of that kind of biker rock, stoner metal, biker metal, whatever you want to call it. Lots of kind of late 70s, early 80s hard rock vibes. Some of these songs have been simmering around the catalog of theirs since the 70s, but it's a great debut. Title track, killer riffs, tons of grooves, Sign of the Wolf, one of their signature songs, total biker stoner classic, love it. You think about it, I'm not sure there would have been a Corrosion of Conformity or Crowbar or Orange Goblin or any of those type of bands, Monster Magnet, if it wasn't for this band. You listen to some of this early stuff and you're like, man, that reminds me so much of all the bands I just mentioned. Well, it just shows you how influential they really always have been, right? All Your Sins, another massive riff, pure doom. Run My Course, also just absolutely crushes and devastates. Gotta love the guitar and bass stomp of Death Row, another great song. The really raw Dying World. I mean, the production values of this album is really, really raw. You got The Ghoul, which is another great headbanger. You're Lost, I'm Free. You got the evil riffing of Sinister. And then there's the blues rock doom of 20 Bucks Spin, which concludes the album. Great song, and the song is so great that some folks actually decided to name a record label out of it. There is a record label called 20 Buck Spin, which release all sorts of kind of doomy and hardcore punk and stoner, all that type of stuff. So, yeah. So here you got Victor Griffin, just legendary riffing throughout this album. Strong vocals from Bobby. Really, really cool debut. Again, maybe not quite as amped up on the fuzz and the doom riffing as subsequent albums would have it, but still, that's kind of where it all began. Really, really good. All right, coming in at number 2, let's go to 1994's Be Forewarned, their third album. All right, this is a good one, folks. Here you got Joe Hasselvander on drums. Okay, so he would later be the guy to do it all in a few short years. More just never-ending doom riffing from Victor Griffin. You know, if Joe on drums learned anything while he was first joined this band, it's how to crank out doom riffs. Because obviously when Victor left and Joe took over, he kind of slotted right in there. But Victor's the guy. He's the man. You got Martin Sweeney on bass. The bass riffs are just enormous on here. Live Free and Burn, killer. Driving Too Late. Like I said, it's Too Late is just such a fast forward, just I say driving because they think, driving in a car, just full speed ahead. That's what Too Late's all about. Just a great, great song. Ask No More's got a brutal riff. Love it. As does The World Will Love Again. Great song. Vampire, just good, headbanging fun. Lifeblood, Wolf's Blood. Just two great songs, both chock full of big stoner riffing. The absolutely crushing Bride of Evil. Love Bride of Evil. Nightmare Gown, another good one. slow, doomy dirge that is the title track, which is all the way at the end of the album. This is a little bit of a longer album than some of their other ones. Usually they're anywhere between 35, 40 minutes long. This one, 13 tracks, kind of pushing close to an hour. But man, so good. And you got to get the whole picture there, right? Really good album. Would probably be my number one if it wasn't for, I love how it's getting darker as I'm doing this video, right? Kind of creepy. Would have been my number one if not for this killer album, which actually is their second album. Day of Reckoning from 1987. Yeah, this is a great one. And I gotta say, I love the Pentagram logo. If I wasn't trying to pimp our shirt today and just show off the new t-shirt that I'm very proud of, I would have worn my Pentagram shirt, which is just the logo. It's all you need, right? Black t-shirt, that great logo, killer. Speaking of killer, this album is killer. So if you listen to, I know it only recorded 2 years between each other, but considering that the debut had a lot of songs that were floating around in their live catalog for years, man, you listen to this and you're like, holy crap. I mean, slow, doom-laden, tons of fuzz, just absolutely mountain-crushing riffs, right? The title track, Evil Seed, the two songs that kick off this album, absolutely just devastating. Menacing riffs from Victor Griffin. Liebling's chilling vocals, love it. When the Screams Come is another dark doom gem with an absolutely delicious evil guitar riff, love it. So good. Burning Savior, classic 9+ minutes of pure epic doom. All right, got the pile driving Madman. You got Wartime, another cranking tune on here. This is one of those albums. It's like 34 minutes long, pure doom bliss, folks. It comes in, it kicks your ass over the course of 7 songs and gets the hell out of Dodge. And by the time you're done, you're just pummeled and you're like, I need to listen to that again. Just a great, great album, and it's my number one favorite from Pentagram. So let's go back over the list again. So coming in at number 1, we got Day of Reckoning. Spit it out, Pete. Number 2, Be Forewarned. Number 3, Relentless. Number 4, Review Your Choices. Number 5, Curious Volume. Number 6, Last Rites. Number 7, Sub-Basement. And coming in at number 8, we're going to go with Show 'Em How. So there you have it. Some great albums from Pentagram. Like I said, don't forget to get the First Days Here and First Days Here too. That'll complete your set. You'll have everything you need from this great band. Classic doom. Doesn't get much better than that. We can talk all about, bands like St. Vitus and Candlemass and Witchfinder General and all that kind of stuff, right? But I think that any doom collection is completely incomplete without all or a good chunk of these Pentagram albums. They're just, to me, it's like, once you get past Black Sabbath as the creators of this thing we call doom, that's the next band right here. For me, anyway. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. Coming up tomorrow, Monday Night Must-See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. Tomorrow's topic is fantasy supergroups. We're each going to talk about if we could put together the ultimate supergroups. And I mentioned supergroups because we're each going to pick 2. One supergroup made of all living musicians and vocalists. Number 2, supergroup comprised of those who have passed on. Okay? And each one of us on the panel are going to pick one group that we have put together as our fantasy supergroups for each of those categories, so you don't want to miss that tomorrow evening. Also, you might get it tonight. If not, you'll get it tomorrow. Another Monsters Den episode coming up. Stephen King film classics coming at you live here on the channel. So stay tuned. We'll see you all then. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.